Welcome to Beyond Business Barriers, powered by insights, driven by strategy, and yes, assisted by AI. I'm your host, Roy MacEwen, and today's episode is part of a special series where we sit down with industry leaders to dig into what's working, what's not, and what the future holds. I am excited to have Cindy with me today on Beyond Business Barriers. Cindy, why don't you start things off with a brief introduction of yourself to our listeners?
Sure. Hi, Roy. I'm excited to be here. My name is Cindy Morris. I am the owner of the Benson Agency. It is a consultancy that we started 15 years ago to really serve the nonprofit industry in capacity building. We know so many nonprofits are started in order to save the world. But it's really important to remember that they really are businesses that need to be run as businesses and need those back office supports to make their missions happen. And that is what the Benson Agency does, is we make sure that they have the right back office supports to achieve their success.
And how can listeners find you?
We are at www.thebensonagency.com. Benson is Benson.
Okay, we started off with a little bit of your background, and then we're going to try to continue on with the trends you're seeing in your space right now, and we'll dive into your current challenges and goals. And finally, we'll wrap up about what's next and what the future holds. Let's see, Cindy, if we can keep our listeners on the edge of their seats for the next 30 minutes. Are you ready?
Sure thing.
All right. Can you tell us a bit about your role at your company and how it fits into the bigger picture?
Sure. So the Benson Agency started, as I said, 15 years ago, really because I had two young children and a really 24/7 type of job. I worked in the tourism and hospitality industry. And I really loved what I did, and I kept missing the bus. Every day, my son would come home from kindergarten, and they wouldn't let you off the bus unless a parent or caregiver was there to get you. And my kid kept getting taken back to school. And I came home at some point, probably in around November after doing this to him. I can't tell you how many times, and said, I have to make a change. By January, I had launched the Benson Agency with a real focus on understanding what it means to be a woman, a caregiver, a primary caregiver, even in an equal, wonderful partnership, partnered caregiver, and the demands of what that means. And so um, I changed my whole work life to meet those needs. And that value of understanding what it means to be a smart, engaged, focused, ambitious woman has led me in the way that I lead. So that everybody who works for me is granted the same grace and the same understanding. It the Benson Agency um, is what I call a mission-based organization. I don't believe that you have to be a nonprofit to be mission focused, and my mission is to provide a um, workplace for my staff that values their lives, their ambitions, and their goals as much as we value our own, and empower them to achieve that. So, whether that means that you need some flexibility, whether that means that you need to be able to work at the hours that make sense for you, that's all built in there. But what it also means is that we're able to provide incredible care and effective solutions for our clients because the people who work here value the chance to work in a setting like this. Um, and part of that means pay too, and I'm going to address that. As a woman leader, I believe that women are not given fair compensation too often, and so nobody who works for me uh, is given a salary or a paycheck by me. Every person who works for me comes in and tells me their self-worth, and that is what I pay them. And if they aren't sure what that is, we work with them on that so that women are given the chance to self-advocate in the workplace and then lead based off of that. And those values are extended out to our clients so that we are able to really provide resources around mindful management that encompasses strong leadership and empowering people who don't often get empowered, whether that is people of color, whether that is gender based, whether that is LGBTQ, whether that is um, immigrants, whether, we can go down the list over and over and over again, but our work focuses on ensuring that we are living by the same values that many of our clients have, which is to make sure that people are able to self-advocate and that we hear that, respond to that, and encourage that. And that's really my leadership uh, structure that I have listed, the created for the Benson Agency.
That would have been something I would have loved to come across 35 years ago. I commend you, and having full equality right across the line is something that's admirable, and good for you. I wish I would have been there. Like, good for you.
Well, I think that as it's an interesting place because, you know, I'm also a typical woman leader who often has imposter syndrome, right? And so the amazing thing is that by creating a place in which the people who work for me are empowered, they do that for me too. And so when we are going out to bid on a project, I'm often reminded, hey, we're worth a certain amount.
Yeah.
I'm often reminded that we carry a value to us as the Benson Agency by them. And so, we kind of take turns holding the water for each other and lifting each other up in that way. And it has made the company far more successful by
Oh,
lifting up the people who
oh,
work here.
absolutely. I could see that.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned a typical day. Well, what does a typical day at work look like for Cindy?
Well, you're looking at my office space. This is Monday through Friday. This is my office space. Friday night, it turns into the rec room and becomes a space for my family um, with all the accoutrements necessary, including a overly sized TV. Um, this is largely where I spend most of my day. I serve clients virtually for the most part myself, and there is a balance in relaunching the Benson Agency, which I did about 2 years ago, of being both somebody who serves clients as well as leads the agency. So, um, whether I am working directly for clients in a variety of fractional roles, or I am actually doing the work of uh, providing support to the people who work for me, um, and making sure that they are able to do that. It's a lot of meetings, quite frankly. It's too many meetings, some people would say. I probably spend at this point easily 30 hours a week in meetings, sometimes more. And so that by doing that virtually, I'm able to have the time to do all of that. There's not the transition.
Exactly.
But quite frankly, that's emotionally exhausting because oftentimes I'll get off with one client and have to jump into another and know right where it is. And so there's a lot of project management skill that has to go into that. Um, and and at the same time, the ability to go on site. And so, in April, I was out of the office for 2 full weeks, serving clients. I will, every month kind of brings in that work as well. And that's where the fun part gets, right? Because while I do love a good Excel spreadsheet more than most people, I
My wife would
really
appreciate that also.
right? There's nothing like an Excel spreadsheet, to warm the heart. But but there's also something really powerful and important to going out and being with the people that we are serving, both in the nonprofit and then the clients that they are serving.
Right.
And so spending that time is deeply important. There's a reason why this why I made the choice to serve nonprofits specifically. And so a big piece of that ties me back to going into community and making sure um, that I get to fill my bucket with that, and making sure that our staff gets out there to do the same. And that's really it's really important because otherwise you might as well be looking at an Excel spreadsheet for somebody else who isn't making that level of impact.
And not as stimulating, absolutely, to most people, but I do appreciate an Excel. I don't get excited as excited as you, but however, I can appreciate it. So let's shift gears a little bit here, Cindy. And what major changes or trends are you seeing in your industry right now?
Well, in the nonprofit industry, we are seeing unprecedented, I hate to use the word attacks, but I'll use the word attacks. We are seeing unprecedented attacks right now coming down at a federal level. Um, to hear that large nonprofits and educational institutions are being threatened to lose their tax status, um, that is horrifying. To see federal departments that fund nonprofit work shutting down or losing funding is terrifying. Um, I work with academic programs that are under threat of losing large federal grants right now that will cut out half of the children that they serve. That's terrifying to think about that. Um, what I also see is, a lot of fear, quite frankly, right? We don't
Mhm.
know what's going to be happening to Medicaid. We don't know what is happening to Medicare. We don't know what is happening to a budget that is proposed but not approved or voted on. And so, right now in the nonprofit industry, there is an amazing dichotomy of extreme fear and anxiety mixed with incredible strength and perseverance. And what we will see unquestionably is that in the nonprofit world, we will lose some nonprofits because of what is happening.
Mhm.
There will be people, climate, animals, etc., that will go unserved because of what is happening right now. Um, I will also tell you that the nonprofits who survive this will be stronger for it. I argue that for most, not all, but most nonprofits, the impact of this will take more than a year before they start to feel it in their pocketbooks.
Mhm.
And that gives you time to plan. It gives you time to lay out systems that can be built up in place. And we are seeing private foundations stepping in, but there is not enough private foundation money out there to make up for a loss in Medicaid and or a loss in federal grants.
Yeah,
Point blank.
it's to where the point where people have to become and organizations have to become proactive versus reactive, because if you wait, it's just a reactive, and that is a total uphill battle. Now, obviously, this is affecting your growth, or going to be affecting your growth strategy. Are you going to be? What do you have in mind for your growth strategy or your business model changing, coming in the near future? Do you see that?
Yeah, the biggest thing that we can do is become experts in resiliency. And so that's what we are doing is um, for those agencies that want to survive this, as you just said, they need to be able to be proactive, not reactive. They can't wait for the loss of a grant. They can't wait for the loss of Medicaid dollars. They can't wait for a loss of, um, you know, corporate funding and foundation funding that they're being impacted by because of the economic changes that are happening. They need to be proactive in their development strategies, and so that's what we're able to do is help them to be proactive, and really by building out resources that are free, that are available. I encourage you to go to thebensonagency.com and get those resources. You can also follow me on LinkedIn. We provide all of those resources on LinkedIn as well. We are seeing a surge in business for us because I just had to bring in additional staff to manage new clients' work because of the fact that there is a growing need and there is a need to understand that you need to diversify your portfolios, you need to be ready for what is coming down the pike, and you need to be ahead of it. The That is very, very doable because the actual implications won't be felt for a little while. But what won't be doable is waiting.
Now,
Yeah.
we mentioned growth. Let's look at growth from a different angle. How are you currently, you're getting people more contacts. You said you've expanded. How are you currently generating leads or attracting new business? Are there specific channels or strategy that you find especially effective for you?
Yeah, I think number one, we get like everybody else, I get about 75,000 billion emails a day offering offering lead generation and corporate loans and I delete all of those. I believe in the power of networking. I believe in the power of using a strong network so that you're working for agencies that you want to be aligned with. Um, I don't work for anybody I don't like. And that means that I want to know who you are. So there is a real strategy for me of um, attending events, getting to know communities, um, thinking with real deliberate intention around geographically where we want to serve, and industries and areas of expertise that we have. And so we are very deliberate in that. We do a lot of online marketing through that. And we are built to the model that we have is that we'd rather take on fewer large jobs than a lot of small jobs. And so um, because of that, we don't need to have hundreds and hundreds of clients. We need to have enough clients that make sense for the portfolio that we want to manage at any given time. And so we're sort of a little bit intentional in that way that we are working on growth. Yeah.
So the intention, let's go with the word retention. Is that very important to you? Retention? Do you have ongoing clients that keep coming
Yeah.
back? And
Um,
obviously, it's because if someone comes back, you're doing something right. So, what do
yeah,
you think
one of
works really well for you to make that happen?
two things. One is you have to know your client really well. I very rarely get hired back by the same client for the same job. Almost always it is knowing them and saying, "Hey, I can do that for you also." Right? Being able to fill in as their needs change. So know your client really well. Um, and then secondly, be someone they want to work with. And so by, as I've talked about, hiring staff that they really respect and they honor and they appreciate makes them want to come back to us over and over again as well. And we've been very fortunate to be able to serve almost every one of our clients in more than one capacity over the years. We have clients that we have served for 10 years. Um, and and that's a testament to um, quite frankly, to the fact that we like them also.
Yeah.
So
So, how important is diversity? How much have you had to change the diversity? I noticed you say they never come back for the same things. So, it, what would you offer to our listeners for diversity in your business?
yeah, I think there are certainly firms that the number one thing they do is all that they do, right? You're a PR agency and the only thing you do is PR. I have not elected to have that type of model, but rather to really have a model of being able to offer different types of services that meet the various needs. My target audience is a medium-sized nonprofit, right? And a nonprofit that is large enough that they can afford to hire outside consultants, but small enough that they don't want to have everything in-house, right? And then work with them. As I always say, my goal is to get them to a place where they don't need to rely on consultants. So work with them to get to a place where they are bringing people in-house, because that is usually more effective and cost efficient. So if that's the goal, then I need to be able to put myself out of a job in one area and then put myself in a job in another area in that same agency because they like what we did in the first area. And that means that I need to understand or have people who work for me who understand multiple areas that they may need help. So whether that is financial management, operational management, development and fundraising management, whether that is community building, building programs, um, and also making sure that we have expertise in the areas in which they serve, understanding gender equity, aging, education, um, understanding what it means to be community builders. That all takes a big piece of this because it lets us really become thought partners with our clients rather than simply appreciating what they do.
Perfect. Okay, now let's look ahead, Cindy. Let's look ahead. Where would you love to see the business in 6 to 12 months from now? We'll do the 6 and then the 12.
In 6 months from now, I think that brings us to November. In 6 months from now, we look to we've met our annual fiscal goals at this point with signed contracts, so we are in a good place. So what I'm hoping in 6 months from now is that we are doing two things. One, we are serving all of our clients in a way that will make sure that they want to keep us around, and that we are going above and beyond to meet those expectations, and that we are doing the marketing necessary to ensure that in the next fiscal year we are signing the contracts that we need as well. So, that's probably our biggest focus over the next 6 months is making sure that we're getting out there into people's minds, while we really provide the services that are necessary.
Now, for the people listening to this podcast, what advice would you offer them for which metrics or KPIs, key performance indicators, should get the most attention on their dashboard today?
Oh, that's a great question. I think I look at our financials every single day. I don't wait around for a report from our financial accounting staff. I look at that every single day. I know what is coming in and what is going out on a daily basis. And I think that that is incredibly important. Um, I want to make sure, when you are a business that employs others, the very first priority is making sure that you make payroll. So I want to make sure that that's happening. But at the same time, I do like to feed my family. It feels important to me on a regular basis as well. And so making sure that you are watching your financials every day so that you aren't waiting to find out that there's an issue. Um, that's number one. Number two is that I'm always looking to see who is in my sales pipeline. And so, just like I look at my financials every day, I look at my sales pipeline at least twice a week so that I know who it is that we are targeting. I know what have I been doing to communicate with them on a regular basis? How am I speaking to them? When will I see them again? Where do I need to be? And I am making plans based off of that. That to me is the most important things that I can be doing for a growth strategy. That being said, on the client services side of things, I make sure that once a week I am meeting as an entire team with my staff so that we are brainstorming together, thinking through both our own growth, but also our client services side, while I hold individual meetings with every single staff person to go over exactly what their needs are individually for support as well, so that I make sure that even if I am not the one who is directly serving a client, that I want to make sure that the clients are being served at a level at which I would be doing that myself if I was the one doing it.
That's some pretty good advice, and you lead by example because you didn't say this is what they should do. This you said this is what I do, and that's
Yeah.
fantastic. Now,
Yeah.
I'm going to be asking you this question. If you could wave a magic wand right now, we'll pretend, we'll pretend, and you
It,
could fix one major issue today, what would it be? And I don't mean world peace and full equality, because we'd love to have that. But I mean something that's within your realm that you would like to change.
uh, I'm doing two things, I think, most specifically to change the world, quite frankly. Um, Number one is that I am leading this business in a way that I wish businesses would be led. I am doing it, as I've talked about, around my own values for what it means to treat people with integrity and um, equity and um, bringing people into a place in which they can feel the most successful. Um, if I could change the world, everybody would be doing that. We wouldn't be looking to take advantage or to make an extra dollar. I'm willing to put less money in my pocket to put money into the pockets of the people who work for me in return for getting amazing work from them. So I wish that others would think about doing that and make sure that they are doing that with intention around employing people who sometimes don't have the same access. So that's number one. And number two, I'm on a very personal mission um, to hit pause. I made the decision 2 years ago to take a sabbatical from what I was doing and take 4 years to live and work and experience life in ways that were just about my own personal growth. And so that means for me, added travel, added family and friend time, added creativity. I signed up for an art class for the first time in 30 years. Um, it's it's about forming relationships. And um, and I always, I say that over and over in our lives, we give children the chance to grow. Um,
We
we
don't
give them
we don't look at ourselves. Yeah.
right? We don't look at ourselves. And so we give high school students 4 years in a major growth moment. We give college kids 4 years in a major growth moment. I'm taking 4 years for a major growth moment. And it means setting annual goals for myself, making sure that I meet those goals. It means talking about it and having people that I gain support from. It means reaching out for mentors and doing it. And I think that it is a real privilege. And I encourage other people to do this as well. Hit pause. It doesn't mean you stop. I didn't say stop. Hit pause, evaluate where you want to be, and give yourself a chance to achieve that.
Well, this has been an awesome conversation with a wonderful human being, Cindy, that being you. And thanks again for you being so candid and thoughtful. Once we wrap this series up of Beyond Business Barriers, I'll be putting together a summary of key insights from across all our guests, and I'll definitely be sending one your way. Thanks so much for spending this time with me, and I'll be reaching out to you again.
Thanks so much, Roy. I appreciate the chance to talk to you today.
Take care. Have a great day.
You too. Bye bye.